Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Conquer College Admissions. Today I'm going to be talking to you about 6 test prep mistakes that you should avoid at all costs. If you are new to my channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button so that you'll be notified when I release new videos every single week. And for those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Julie Kim, and I help and mentor and guide high school students to use their passions and strength to get accepted into their dream Ivy League and top tier. So welcome, and let's go ahead and get started. So the first mistake that I see happening with SAT and ACT is when students schedule to take those tests in the end of their academic year. So I'm talking about May and June. That's the time where you're going to be the most busy, meaning you have AP exams going on, you might have SAT subject tests going on. You also have a lot of end of the year events like banquets and parties and finals, right? Projects. So do not schedule your SAT or ACT test to take place at the end of your academic year. I've seen students do this, but what actually ends up happening is they would have to just cancel a test or just not show up. And you definitely don't want to add stress to an already stressful period of your academic year. So definitely avoid that at all costs. The second mistake that I see students make is with SAT 2 language test. So SAT offers language test with or without listening. And so what I'm going to recommend you if you are aiming for Ivy League and top tier is to take the test with listening, and with listening is only offered in November. So make sure to plan ahead so that you're not like, I'm gonna be applying in November and I don't have time to take the listening one. So if you are a freshman or sophomore or junior watching this, make sure that you do plan to take the language test in November with listening. The third type of mistake that I see with SAT and ACT is when students just take the test without preparing for it. So what they'll say is, I'll just go ahead and take it and see how well I do. And, if I don't do well, it's okay because I could just send in the scores that are just high. And while some schools do practice this, I don't want you to go and take a test just for the sake of taking it, because you do need to prepare. And even though you feel like, I already know all of those grammatical rules or reading rules, you need to get familiar with the test. You need to understand the pacing of each question and each section. There are also some rules you might not know, not because you're not smart enough, but for example, if I were to ask you, hey, tell me the 3 types of colon rules, would you know them, right? So it's really important that you prepare 2 to 3 months before you actually go and take the test. And the best time to actually take it is in August. I also have another YouTube video. I'll link it up in the cards. But it's titled The Best Time to Take the SAT and ACT, so check that out so you'll know when is the best time to take it. But don't just take it for the sake of taking it. Your time is precious, right? If you really want to find out how well you do, what I recommend that you do is, if you're going to go for SAT, go into the College Board website. If you're going for the ACT, go into the ACT website, and they have a lot of practice tests. So what I want you to do is, from the website, print out the test, go to your local library and bring a bottle of water with you and take the test at the library. I don't recommend that you take it at home because you're going to get distracted, and I don't want you to get a score that's higher than what you would normally get just because you're like taking a break and watching YouTube videos and then just eating a snack. You really want to take the diagnostic test at a setting that is very similar to the actual test centers, right? So do that, and that's going to give you the best predictor of your score without having you go take the test without any preparation and then taking the test, and then what if you get a bad score, right? So make sure that you take a diagnostic test in replacement of taking the real one. The fourth mistake that a lot of students make is when they take the SAT subject test without taking the diagnostic test. If you go on Amazon, you can search up a diagnostic test booklet for each subject from the College Board. So purchase that, take the test, and then decide whether you're going to take it or not. every time you commit to a test, that means that you have to study for hours and hours. It's a commitment. So the moment you say yes, you have to commit to that test so you will perform really well. So take the diagnostic test and then register for the ones that you did really well on. So the way that I measure it for my students is if they score around 680 to 700 plus, that means, okay, you know what, let's go for it. You don't need to study too much because you know a lot of information from the AP test. But what I've seen is even though, let's say the same student, A and B, took AP US History, this student A could do really well compared to student B in the subject test because this AP teacher was also very comprehensive and going over a lot of the topics that could come out on the subject test as well. So it just really depends on the teacher. That's why it's important for you to take the diagnostic test so that you will be informed, you will know where you're at, and you can just really say no to the ones where you don't perform really well. It's not worth it for you to study for subject tests and then getting a bad score or a mediocre score and then thinking, is this really gonna hurt my application? Things like that, right? So keep that in mind. Please take a diagnostic test before you do it. My students who are in my program and in my courses, if they don't take the diagnostic test, we don't even consider it. So keep that in mind. The fifth mistake that I see students make is when they take the SAT or ACT many times. And the perfect amount of time for you to, the perfect frequency of taking the test should be about 2 or 3 times at most. If you take a lot just for the sake of getting better scores and better scores and better scores, you know, it's not really healthy for you. You're going to get stressed out, you're going to burn out. So it's really important that you understand what types of questions you're always missing on your diagnostic test. I encourage students to take about 2 diagnostic tests per month if weekly is hard for you, and then identify what question types am I missing consistently, and then mastering those question types using resources. I personally love SAT Writing Panda book. All my students know that I love that book, but it's helped so many of my students do really well on their exams. So I'm just really encouraging you to not take the test many times, and you know that SAT scores and GPA are important, but they're not going to be the reason why you would get in. That's never the case. It's always, you know, what are you doing in addition to that? You know, how are you demonstrating your qualities and what is your theme? Do you have a passion project? Are you doing amazing things that align with who you are? That's what's really going to trigger the college admission officers, and that needs to be demonstrated in your essays and in your rec letters and in your interview as well if they do require an interview or they do offer an on-campus interview. So don't take it a lot of times, it's gonna burn out. So make sure to just prepare 2 to 3 months and then master the missed concepts. That's all you really need to do. The last mistake that I see a lot of students make is they just go for any types of test prep options. So what I mean by that is some students will be like, oh, I'm taking, you know, an 8-week class because I feel like everyone else is doing that, or my friend is doing that. But let's say, for example, that you are getting around 1400 in your SAT and you go into a class and they're asking questions about topics that you already know. So you have to hear other people ask questions, and that's like really wasting time because in that time you could master the high level questions or high level strategies that you didn't really have time to do so, hence the reason why you're taking the course. So there's a few types of ways that you can prepare. First one is a group class. I recommend this for starters. And obviously there are SAT programs where they have classes for each level. You can definitely, you know, check that out. And then the second type is like an online step-by-step course where you just like download the online format and you just go at your own pace. And then there are also one-on-one tutoring. So if you just need help with a couple of types of questions and high-level strategies, one-on-one tutoring could also be a great fit for you. So what I'm trying to get across is know your learning style and know what is it that you currently need help with, and based on that you want to select your type of prep. So don't make the mistake of just going for any type just because everyone else is doing that. No need to do that at all. Alright, you guys, those are the 6 types of test prep mistakes that you should avoid at all cost. As you know, we have so many other free resources regarding Ivy League and top tier college admissions. We have our Demystifying College Admissions podcast. We also have our private Facebook group, Conquer College Admissions. And also, if you are interested in taking this to the next level and would like to work with our team, we will also include Ivy League Top Tier Discovery Call. And on the call, we will assess whether you would be a good fit to work with us or not. All the links that I'm mentioning here will be in the description box below, so definitely check it out. And I'll be back here with another video next week. Bye!